parties or pitch parties or events connected to specific genre focused writing, kid lit, romance writing, the debut writers, whether it be class of 2019 because they're releasing books this year, or debut writers for 2020. All of those happen on social media, and it's a way to engage with writers. You want to look for hashtags connected to writing, hashtag writing community, hashtag writer's life, hashtag middle grade lit chat, hashtag kid lit chat, hashtag PB pitch, which is picture book pitch. And you'll find a community of writers through a lot of those type of social media engagements. Lots of social media on Facebook, I'm sure as well. I don't do Facebook at all. I cannot handle Facebook, all of the fakeness, and I just can't do it. I can't do it. So, but I'm sure there are lots of authors out there in those spaces. It may be eventually that I will have to put out some type of author page on Facebook. I know there's a whole Instagram authors where a lot of authors put out images through Instagram. I don't do much with Instagram. The trick about it, and I'll have a video much later about this, is social media and trying to be an authorpreneur through social media. Is that the number one trick really is find what works for you and do that. There's many different ways that you can be on social media as a writer, but it's probably not great to make yourself so thin across the platforms. And so really picking one or two that works best for you, and then spending some time in that space, long time to build a platform, to build a following before you move on to the next one, is probably the best advice. And that's sort of what I did. I was on Twitter. I joined Twitter I joined Twitter maybe a year before I actually actively used it, because I didn't know what to do with Twitter. 40 and refined. So I wasn't a millennial generation born with this stuff. And I didn't really know what to do with it. I didn't like that it seemed like a party line or a chat room. That was a waste of my time. And then I started exploring those writers and different agents, following them. And I sort of have found the community, and probably a year into me being on Twitter, I started really engaging, and now I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I love Twitter. I love how quick it is, how it moves through. You get this little small smidgen of opportunity to push out there. We're not giving testimonies about how we don't have no food or money for bills. So so I like Twitter. And then I joined YouTube. I've said before, I've been on YouTube forever, and I joined it a while ago, but this is my first foray into trying to produce some informational, educational supports for other writers. So that's a way for you to find your squad, is through social media. So here is the story. So this will probably be broken up into two parts. Here is the story of how I found my squad, because it's not easy to find a squad, a writing critique group that you can trust with your writing, that you can trust with your heart, because your heart typically is poured out in your writing, and who will help you grow and develop as a writer. But for me, what I did first was, the very first time I had joined SCBWI, and I went to the LA conference. And when I came back from the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, I wanted to join our local chapter. And when I first initially looked at the local chapter, the days in which they met in my closest area, I couldn't do. And so I found the next closest area. And I remember my daughter, who's 25, she went with me. And we drove there. It was about an hour away. And we drove there to the event. And they were sharing their writing amongst everyone. But they had some weird little rules. like, if you hadn't been there 3 times, you couldn't say whether you liked the writing or not. You couldn't give comments on the writing. And there was 1 or 2 who seemed to be like a little military about how they expected the structure of the group to be and what they wanted people to do and not do. And when a lot of the pieces were read, I just felt like, whoa, this is like a really beginning writing group. Like, not that I'm tooting my horn or anything, but I had taught writing for many years. I had been immersed in children's literature all of the years as a teacher, all of the years before teaching, because writing has been a big part of my life and children's literature has been a big part of my life. And so I felt like a lot of people here are at the very, very beginning of stages. And as we were driving away, my daughter even said to me, "Ma, I don't know. I don't think it's worth this drive. I don't think you're going to get much out of this." And I agreed. And so I have a rule about TV shows and about groups at the time that I would try to give every group at least 3 times. Because, you know, the first time it could be just because it's new. At least 3 opportunities to say whether this would work or not for me. And so, so I went on and I decided to go 2 more times, and it just was not for me. It was these really weird military rules. There was some other layers to it that was just bizarre. It was just bizarre, and I chose not to go that route. And then the next one was, I did decide I'm going to try to make some room, and it took months. It took months to say, okay, I'm not doing that anymore, because each time they meet is once a month typically. So that was 3 months of going and figuring out, nope, this isn't for me. And then having to wait another month to go to something else. So I went to the SCBWI that was right in my area. And I did the same thing. And it was structured differently. They talked more about works out there. It was a little too formal, a little too structured as far as not really developing your writing to another level, but really just looking at what was in the space of children's literature and how to use that as some models and guides to your writing. Again, it was a mix mash of people who would come in, so there wasn't a lot of consistency. 1 week you might have a couple of people 2 weeks in a row, and then it's a whole new group the 3rd week in a row. And that wasn't really what I wanted either. So I did that 3 times and said, nope, this isn't gonna work either. We have what we call Rally of Writers connected to, it used to be connected to our community college, and I had been a director at our community college administrator. And so I went to the Rally of Writers critique group a couple of times. Again, different group of people, even you might have 1 or 2 who were consistent, but for the most part, it might be a different group of people. And this almost felt a little like speed dating to me, because you brought your writing and they break you up into groups, because the groups were a little bit larger. They break you up into groups and everybody would read their writing, and then people would just give verbal feedback on what they thought as you read it out loud. And it's a great one. It was a great one to puff me up, because they would say, oh, it's fabulous, I love it, the voice, the characters, the plot kept me engaged. And I always felt so great after attending one of those. But in the end, I didn't feel like I was growing. I went to 3 of those. I did feel like I was able to read a variety of writing, not just in my genre, but lots of different writing styles, and I appreciated that. But I did that more than 3 times, because I actually liked several of the sessions. But in the end, I just felt like, this is really not what I'm looking for either. I really want to grow. And so I had kind of decided, well, maybe I won't have a squad. I'm just going to dig deep and hold myself accountable and keep plowing into this writing journey because I love it and it's something that I want to do. And I went to the same community college has a March's Reading Women's Month read in. Where you can read your work or you can read any work written by a woman, and they will have students come and hear you, or anyone from the public or connected to the college will come and hear you. And I have been writing for a long time, still writing it, over 10 years. It's a fabulous book though. It is fabulous. Any agents out there wanna hook a sister up. A book that is called My Bra is Trying to Kill Me and Other Crosses Women Have to Bear. That's the gist of it. And I've narrowed that down over the course of all of these years working on it. Crosses. That's what it's called. And it's a women's essay. It's an essay. It's an essay book. It has all these essays connected to stories that affect women, things that affect women. I have been reading that at the event maybe 2 or 3 years, and I was gaining a little following because they will push it out to the college who's reading and when they're reading. And so maybe the 3rd year, there was like one day I looked up and there was nobody in the seats because you, depending on your time, there might be people there or not because it's just this all day read-in. And I looked up and I said, oh, okay, I'm going to just read to 2 or 3 people here. That's fine. And when I opened up my pages and looked up, I had like this little fan session, fan club of people who had came specifically to hear me read my work. And so I did the reading, and after the reading, and I will put out a video because I did the reading this year. And so I'm going to put that out on YouTube. I did the reading, and after the reading, Deidre Humphreys, Barker, who is one of my squad, one of Sister Locks, she came up to me and she said, that was really, really great. I really enjoyed that. Do you write with anyone? And so I said, no, I've tried, and I went through the story a little bit, and she said, well, I have a writing group. And so I said, oh, that would be fabulous. I would love to come and join you guys if it's okay, because writing groups are sacred. They are sacred spaces. And so she said, well, I'll talk to them and see if, because we've been together a long time, and I don't know if we want to, if we're open to bringing anybody else in, but I'll talk to them. So I didn't hear from her for about 2 or 3 months. She took my information. She worked at the college as a professor. And so I just thought, oh, okay, they are not taking anybody. I'll keep going at this on my own. And I didn't hear anything from her. And then I ran into her at another college thing doing something totally different. And she said, hey, I thought you were going to join us with your writing. And I thought, I never heard anything back from you. And she said, we want you to come and join us. And so I said, okay. And I scheduled to come. And the first time it was a little brutal. They don't know I'm saying all this. They'll know now if they watch this. It was a little brutal because we shared our writing and they were just like, whoop, chop, 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 chop. And I was like, wounded. And I came home, and remember, I'm coming off of Rally of Writers who are like, you're fabulous. This writing is fabulous. Oh my goodness. And they come in, they're like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Who are you talking to here? And you need to move this here. There's a big old plot hole here. And I was just like, oh, wounded. So I came home and my daughter asked me, how did it go? How was it? I was like, I'm not going back to that. I'm not going back to that. No, but their writing was exactly what I wanted. It pushed me. It challenged me. I love listening to the poetry of their words. And Lisa is a poet, and hers was beautiful. And Londa's is prolific, and just Karen is the queen of dialogue, and Deidre was just very, very academic in her writing, and it was all of the things that I loved. But I had said, oh no, I'm not going back to that. Plus, none of them write children's literature, so I'm not going back to that. But the next month, it was at someone else's house, and I went to that. And then the third time, I went again, and I was hooked, and I was a part of the group, and they've embraced me. And 5 years later, we're still writing and chugging along. And I'm sort of that little engine that pushes, because I'm like, I want to be an authorpreneur. I want to not just publish books, but I want to help others. I want to be in social media. I want to do this. And that's how I attack anything I love. I just have 5 million different ideas and thoughts and things I want to do with it to make it be successful, but not just me be successful, for others to be able to be successful. Because I believe there is room at the table for everybody. And if it's not any room, tear that sucker down and let's build a bigger table. And that's just how I feel. I feel like so many people have the skill, the ability, and the talent, and the know-how, and the perseverance to be great writers in the space. Our children need great writers. Our society needs great writers. And so whatever I can do to help support that process, whatever I can do to help motivate you and inspire you, that is my goal. And that's what Sister Locks was for me. They are a tribe for me. They are a place of sanity. We come together, and you'll see that in some of our upcoming pieces. When we come together, we eat amazing food. And then, of course, we ham it up as wives and as mothers and as sisters out with day jobs in the workforce. And we get to kind of decompress and talk about all of that. And then we plow into the work of writing, whether it be sharing everybody's goals and holding one another accountable in those goals, or in submitting, or in pushing forward in our writing. So there's the business side of it that we do a lot of. And then there's also every time we read one another's writing, we critique, we give feedback, we provide a lot of support in moving the writing forward. So I encourage you as much as you can to get into a space where you can connect with your writing tribe, with your squad, with your community of writers who can do all of those things for you, support you, keep you on top of different goals, help inspire you and empower you to move forward as a writer. It is critical to staying in the game. I really believe that the longevity of writing groups typically will keep you with your head down. Yes, there are people out there who do it completely solitary. I understand that. But I do think if you can find a community, people, others that are like-minded when it comes to writing and moving forward, that you really can be blessed to keep going on when the return on investment doesn't seem as though you're getting much from it. Find your writing squad. Put yourself in writing spaces. Be open to networking, to connecting with others. Be open to developing relationships along this journey so that you continue to grow as a writer and you continue to move forward as a writer. It's really, really so much sweeter. It's so much more satisfying when you are in this journey with others who are also along the journey. So thank you so much. I hope you got something from this. Please subscribe. I know it's hard for me to even say that because I have watched different YouTubers forever and never subscribe to them. Never subscribe because it's like, oh, this is a private thing. I don't need Big Brother finding out what I'm watching and who I'm watching, and I don't need to see the stuff. I can find them. That's that 40 and refined generation. I understand that. But it's important. Subscribe. That keeps me being able to produce these and know what you want to see. Comment. Ask me questions if you want to see a different topic on the writing journey, whether it be memoir, maybe it's genre, maybe you want to just share your testimony in a book. Let's talk about that. Put it in the comment section, and then like, thumbs up, because it gives me feedback and direction on what you want to continue to see and what you want me to continue to put out. I really am. I think 10 minutes is way too short for all of the information, so I am trying to stay at the 20-minute mark. Can you give me 20 minutes? Can you give me 20 minutes twice a week? Hopefully. But subscribe, and thank you so much for joining Pizzo's Perfection, because perfection is never perfect.